Duval.
I'm excited and hungry.
Yep.
So let's get to it.
Yeah, so, if you've listened to the show before, you know that we like to highlight, local businesses, business of the week. And we're a big fan of the locally owned places. And if you haven't been there yet, the Bearded Pig in San Marco is just terrific barbecue. I've been there more than once, and I love it. And we got the opportunity today to talk to the owner, Chad Muncy. Chad, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So, hey, can you tell us, did you grow up in Jacksonville, or what brought you to Jacksonville?
Yeah, I'm a Jacksonville. We moved here, my family. My father was a Naval Academy grad and moved here when we were when I was 6 months old. So I consider myself kind of a native here.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up, went to Bishop Kenny High School, moved away to go to the University of Florida, and have been back in Jacksonville, except for a 3-year stint in California. I've been back here since about the mid-'90s.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Good deal. And speaking of Jacksonville, so tell us, what's your favorite thing about Jacksonville?
My favorite thing about Jacksonville, I think there's a lot of friendliness that goes on here. It's a very comfortable, friendly town to live in, and I think, as I like to say, you can dial this town up and make it as wild and crazy as you want, but in the same breath, you can take a Friday night in and cook dinner, and it's a relaxing place. I think it's an extremely comfortable city to live in, and we have so many great things, from the beaches to the river, a downtown area, so many great things. Golf, Mo mentioned earlier, big golfer. I just think it's got a lot to offer, and I really wish more people would recognize all the benefits that we have here in Jax.
I didn't say I was any good, but I
That's
do
all
like
right.
flying.
No, likewise. I gave it up about 6 months ago.
But have you had any previous experience in the restaurant?
Yeah, so I'm about 25 years in this restaurant game. From my first experience here in Jacksonville, I was I was actually the first manager that Biscotti's over in Avondale hired. I worked directly with the two owners there. Did that for a couple of years. I had the opportunity to become the opening manager and wine director at Bistro X at their inception in '99. And then in '01, I started the Grotto Wine Bar in San Marco, and that was about 30 years old when I launched that. And my background is in fine dining, obviously, and wine. And did that for a lot of years, almost 8. Sold it in January of '08 and moved to California, Santa Barbara, and was the director of education and retail operations for a group of wineries based there. And then came back and was a partner at Ovente out at the town center, and also had the opportunity. Our group ended up buying Bistro X back, and then so I was a partner there for a bit. And then in 15, sold my ownership in both those restaurants to develop the Bearded Pig.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah, I've got a long history.
Yeah, so speaking of the Bearded Pig, how did that idea come along? Tell us all about it.
So, interestingly enough, was in the process of selling my ownership in 2 restaurants. Ran into a friend of mine who's now my business partner, Michael Schmidt, and we were grabbing a beer at Ardwolf, another local place, and he said he wanted to get, he wanted to dabble in the restaurant business here. He had done it up in Boston. He's from here, and he's like, I have this great concept. We did this barbecue, started out as a catering company, and it really took off. And his wife was at school at MIT at the time, and then they moved back down here. And he said, I'd really like to start it up here. And I was like, barbecue? Yeah, that's great. I'm a fine dining guy, but we can talk. And I said, what's the name? He's like, the Bearded Pig. And I said, man, that's got a good ring to it. And that was the first thing. And so we continued to talk, and finally I did my research, and I said, yeah, this sounds great. I love what you're doing. Cook me some food, and let me see. And the moment he made brisket for the first time, it was like, I literally looked at him and said, if we can replicate this every day, we'll have the best barbecue in the city.
Yeah,
so
I've had your brisket, and it is good.
It was unique to what I had ever had in Jacksonville. So that's where it started. And then we spent the next year planning and building, and we did a lot of the work ourselves. And I, spent a year at my house with a smoker, learning how to smoke meat, and so I could talk the talk. I'm all in when I do a concept.
So he came up with the name Bearded Pig. What is?
So a bearded pig is actually a type of hog.
Okay.
They're indigenous to Indonesia and kind of more of the tropical climates. If you think of a schnauzer that has a really big kind of beard, they're really not attractive, but it's a
boy, do
funny
they
name.
taste good.
Yeah, and it's not a hog that you would eat
Oh, okay.
necessarily unless you were really starving, but they're indigenous to tropical climates. I think it was more the name just had a really catchy
Yeah.
ring
It's
to
memorable.
it. It is
Yeah.
memorable, exactly, and so that's where it came up from. But yeah,
Nice. Does everyone have to have a beard in the restaurant?
there's a number of them there. I'm
There's
not.
Chirac in it, no?
Yeah, I'm a 3-day, 4-day scruff guy. I don't do the full beard. I don't think even at 48 I can grow a full one. So,
So, with that type of business in general, like Jacksonville's large. What made you decide the San Marco area for your first location?
Michael and I both were living in San Marco at the time, and you know what I say in the restaurant business, regardless of concept, I tell anybody who thinks about getting into the business, understand your market. And that means from a food concept to, more importantly, what location you're going to put it in. We knew the San Marco market. He grew up there. I've lived there for 25 years. So we knew, if nothing else, and that's where my previous restaurants were, is that we could appeal to that market. And if we could start there and build a following there, that hopefully would grow beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a destination area. You know, a lot of people come from other parts of town because it's kind of, San Marco's a unique area. Our proximity to downtown from a daytime business standpoint we thought was great. And then we went in a spot that was a little off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
But quite frankly, it was affordable. We didn't have much money, and we thought, well, people seek out barbecue. We'll see what works. See if this works on this little side street. And so it's been successful. But knowing your market, and we knew San Marco, and that's why we went there.
Yeah, so on this subject of, like, you know, someone starting a restaurant, they need to know their market. Opening a business in general, what kind of mindset, if somebody's thinking about starting their own business, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it's a different business, what kind of mindset do you think sets people apart to be able to last as a business owner?
So one thing that stuck out to me every time I've ever done it, you know, when we'd have year 1 anniversary or year 2 anniversary, I remember the first time somebody said, "Oh, I mean, you should be really proud that you've made it a year. Did you expect to make it a year?" And I said, you don't go into business not expecting to be around in a year.
Sure.
You kind of go in and expect, okay, you got to be well funded, at least plan to do no business and no sales for a few months. So having working capital is a big part of it. So planning is part of it. But you have to go in with the mindset of, I can't fail. You know, this is not a corporate situation where I have somebody backing me and I've got somebody that's always going to pay my salary.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not successful, I don't make money.
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of going in and failure is not an option, and doing whatever it takes to make sure you're successful.
Yeah, it's funny because I've heard some successful people say that, you know, what's your plan B? And, well, there is no plan B.
There is no plan B. Yeah, exactly.
I'm all in on my plan A. I love that. So that's awesome.
No, absolutely. And go in, you know, I don't advise the restaurant business for someone who says, "Oh, I want to change careers, and I like to eat out, so I'm going to do a restaurant."
Yeah.
There's a lot more working parts than people realize. So do your homework on it, especially from the restaurant side of things.
Yeah.
Chad, are you involved in any other local restaurants in Northeast Florida?
Currently, we are not. We've got. I kind of said, I joked at the beginning of this year that 2020 was the year of the pig for me, and I was all in. I was team barbecue. I was going to have T-shirts made for my guys, like Team Barbecue, Team Pig. We were all in. We dabbled. Michael and I owned a little arcade bar over in 5 Points called the Rec Room.
I love that place.
Yeah. We sold it in October. It was just.
I didn't know that.
It was just an opportunity. We knew we had plans coming up for the Bearded Pig.
Yeah,
we wanted to focus our interest in that. We also dabbled, unfortunately, with the Derby House Diner over in 5 Points. We thought we had a great concept. It just really didn't resonate with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to knowing your market.
Right.
Thought we knew the market over there, and it was an experiment. I don't like to, to talk about the failures, but they do happen, and your ability to rebound and move forward. As a business person told me, he said, "Chad, no one remembers your failures. They're only going to remember your successes. So don't stress about having a closure. You tried, and it didn't work. But so currently we're all in with the Bearded Pig, and we've got plans to move the Bearded Pig in San Marco just a couple blocks down the same street to consolidate 2 buildings and a parking lot all into one lot. and then we're going to retain the existing building that the main restaurant is in. We haven't really announced this formally, but I'll announce it to you guys.
All
We're
right.
gonna turn that into a private event space.
Oh, nice.
And not just for the Bearded Pig. It'll be owned separately from the Bearded Pig.
Right.
It'll be called the Urban Outpost.
Yeah.
It'll be kind of a whitewash, simple. People can come do birthday parties and wedding receptions and rehearsal dinners, and we'll have a list of caterers that are approved. So we're excited about that as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
I appreciate you sharing those stories. I mean, that's another thing. We mainly want to get in here talking about some more barbecue in just a second, but I do think about the people that are thinking about starting businesses, and that's the thing, is that there is no plan B. You're all in, but you have to be open to the possibilities of failure and being able to roll with those punches and seeing it. This idea didn't necessarily work, but this idea is working, and I
100%.
appreciate that.
Not. I mean, it was a rough third and fourth quarter for 2019, because we had this decision that we had to make, and it was really it's as difficult as it is. It's smarter, and a lot of my business friends told me, said, smarter of you to make the decision to close it,
Right.
something that's not working, than to continue on and potentially, ruin you financially.
Right.
And so that's why I tell people, fortunately for us, we were able to rebound from it. If you're all in on one and it doesn't work, it
Right.
makes it a little more difficult. But and that's why I tell people, know your market, know your product, and really know the business before you just kind of jump in.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about your menu. So if someone, I've been there, I love the food. Vince just mentioned to you a little bit ago, like he definitely is looking forward to trying it for the first time. If somebody's coming for the first time, what do they have to try? And just tell us a little bit more about your menu.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, we're a fast casual style restaurant, which I think for barbecue is, you don't really see it too much in town. You see it lots of time with burger places, but we're an order at the counter, get a number, take a seat, we run the food out to you. That's the first thing I would advise people. Second of all, we do what we call Texas influenced or Texas style barbecue. What that really means in the short term is we dry rub all of our meats. Kansas City style, they wet rub, so there's sauce that goes on it during the smoking process. We dry smoke everything. We have sauces available on the table if you'd like to dress it up with sauce. Going back to that Texas style, brisket is king, and beef is king in Texas. So we pride ourselves on our brisket, but we also I think we do amazing pulled pork. We do full spare ribs as opposed to a lot of places do little baby back ribs. We do full spare ribs. We do turkey. We start with great ingredients. So I don't tell anybody, if you don't eat beef, then you can still come. The turkey is amazing. Our chicken, we smoke chicken as well. So we have a little bit of everything. That's why we also call ourselves a Southern style barbecue. We're kind of encompassing all the styles of barbecue as far as pork and beef and poultry.
Yeah, and you guys have a cool spot. Like something I appreciated about it, somebody comes with the little kids. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, you got the kids in the seat, and you're trying to keep them calm, not to disturb other people, throw a phone in front of them.
Right.
But you guys got a good setup over there for the kids.
Yeah, we are kind of become our little calling card. Majority of our seating is on a covered patio that's heated, and it's very comfortable even when it's not warm outside. And then we also have an open air grass area that's got picnic tables. We've painted all the fences with chalk paint, so the kids get to run around and draw on the fences, and it keeps them occupied. It's also an enclosed area where the kids can't escape, so to speak. So the parents get to enjoy their meal, let the kids kind of hang out by themselves. I say play. We try to avoid the running around just in case anybody trips and gets hurt. But we definitely have things to keep them occupied. It's really become, parents, I don't have kids personally, but parents tell me all the time, they're like, man, this is so amazing. Thank you. My wife and I can come out to dinner and not have to get a babysitter, and the kids are having fun, and they love the food, and so it's been fun.
Why are my kids drawing on the walls?
Right, exactly. Yeah, you get to tell your kids, "Hey, we're going to take you where we'll let you draw on the walls."
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was funny that when Dan had told me, he had you lined up to come on the show. I was looking online and I saw a thread come in on the Bearded Pig with the Jack's Beach location. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, that's our other growth for 2020 is we've been looking at the beaches, I think, for a while. We knew we wanted to be in that market. And it was just finding the right location. And parking is important. We like the idea of taking an old building and renovating it as well. And so that plan is, we got our first initial approvals for our outdoor seating and grass area from Jack's Beach Planning Commission. So we'll move forward with plans now, and we'll target probably realistically a late July, August, kind of a late summertime opening. So we're very excited, though. Very excited.